Okay, welcome back. We're going to continue our legato stuff, but this time going to play across two strings rather than just everything being on one string. Okay, it's a natural progression of things, I guess. I'm going to take that first exercise that we started with, the simple ascending and descending run on the top E string, and then just to add the C note on the B string. Now, you might want to notice what I'm doing with the right hand here. Downstroke, and then an upstroke on the B string. I kind of like it because you've got more of a real attack on the first note of the phrase. I'm using Jim Dunlop 2mm heavy, really heavy picks actually, so I get a nice kind of crisp attack to the front of the notes. So I'm just going to take that down through the scale as well. So same first three notes. This time we just added the B on the 12th fret of the B string. Take it down again. Adding the A on the B string. And I suppose you can kind of join them together in some random fashion. Let's give that a go. Kind of played each one twice there. This isn't, you don't have to use this picking. Obviously you could use two downstrokes if you wanted. That kind of works well, but you might notice a difference in sound. As I said before, I really like the fact that you start off with a downstroke and then I don't know, it just seems to get a bit more attack in there, a bit more aggression, I guess. That's kind of a nice little phrase there. We could actually add some more notes from the C major scale onto the B string. That's quite a nice one as well. I'm trying to think how, you can obviously make these as complicated or as easy as you like, really, but yeah, I'm just going to add something onto the end of that phrase, which is just going to be, so you got D, C, B, and A. So we got the same first phrase, and then at the end. And same thing on the next phrase down. This time the notes are going to be C, B, A, and G. Next phrase down. Notes are going to be B, A, G, and slightly awkward stretch here onto the F. You can see that as opposed to completely moving the hand position, I'm just kind of reaching back a little further with the first finger. So just those first three positions. Do it slowly together. 3 and 4 and. And then next position down. Next position down. And finally, I haven't showed you this one yet. Notes are A, G, F, and E. So I'm going to, sorry, that was a bit of a mess. So I'm going to try and join that all up, just moving up the neck. See how that sounds. Again, make sure that you have loads of. In fact, my best piece of advice actually before doing these is go out for a run, get the old cardiovascular system going, get the blood pumping, get your body kind of stretched, and if you are intent on playing faster, you need to treat your body as an athlete would. Look after it. Stop eating hot dogs. Definitely stop eating. No more hamburgers. No more Coke. None of that stuff. Get healthy. It really does make a difference. There are certain people that can obviously play and eat tons. I'm not going to mention any Swedish names, but for us mere mortals, then you kind of just need to look after your body. So let's just try that. So I'm just going to try that twice on each one, as you no doubt saw. Okay, it's kind of sounding a little bit more A minor, A aeolian at the moment. If you know anything about modes, then you'll know that it's exactly the same notes as C major, but played over an A bass. And just starting in this position like we just did, it's kind of making the note A sound like it's the root note. So that's why it doesn't sound like D Dorian at the moment. It would sound like D Dorian if you had some kind of wacky D Dorian rhythm going on underneath. Okay, I think that's it for our legato stuff. Obviously, string skipping, you can do exactly the same kind of stuff. You'd need to take some of these notes, maybe instead of playing those notes on the B string, maybe play the again staying within the key, but play the notes G, F, and E. So maybe you can combine the two things together. Oh, should have been more of a natural as opposed to an A flat. Never mind, you get the general idea. This is just trying to give you as many ideas and stuff to work on as possible. Probably the amount I've showed you so far would keep you happy for the next couple of months, but we're going to carry on anyway. You're going to get your money's worth out of these DVDs. Next thing I'm going to talk about, we're going to revert back just to where we were about an hour ago with our D minor pentatonic shapes, and this is really just examining some of the cool ways you can actually use the pick just to get some what sounds like loads of notes happening, but really not really too difficult. Going to go back to shape number 5 in D minor pentatonic. And this technique is kind of favoured by players like Greg Howe, players like Richie Kotzen, me. I kind of like using it as well. Who else uses it? Who does it? My mate Jamie Humphries, he uses it as well. It's kind of a nice little idea. And I kind of play it slightly different to all these other players though. And the only difference is, instead of playing, I'll show you the phrase first. Whereas Richie and the like would play that with an upstroke and a downstroke. It kind of doesn't, in a way, it doesn't make sense for me to do that. Because to do an up and a down like that, it's far quicker for me to do two ups. So, all I'm doing here with the left hand, hammering down the C to the D, and then just slightly flattening my third finger. Oh, I forgot to mention Jason Becker, he used to use this a lot as well. Flatten the third finger to play the G note at the 10th fret of the A string. And that's where the upstroke comes in. Play the G with an upstroke. And then as the pick's going in that general direction anyway, then you hit the D on the way back down. Kind of a cool sound as well, especially with a little bit of palm muting again. Great thing about this lick is you can take that entire phrase throughout the shape 5 of the D minor pentatonic. So let's just do that really slowly together. 3 and 4 and. And speed that up a little bit. And speed it up even more. This is another added advantage of this little shape. If you slide up that with the first finger again, hammer, probably with the third finger, I would say, the C, and then flatten it so you get the F on top. And then you can just combine those two little phrases on the top E string, top two strings, sorry. Slow that down a little bit more. Sorry, I'm getting carried away now. Too much coffee. 3 and 4 and. Now, depending on how well you know the D minor pentatonic, you can actually add those notes in as well. Now, so far, all these this barring has been done with the third finger. So why not try barring with the little finger, for example? And you get all kinds of little melodic ideas there. So this is your little pedal point here. First note I started with was the G on the 15th fret. Then went to the F. Then went to the E with the second finger. You can also use the D with the first finger as well. It's got a nice effect. Still staying within D minor, essentially, just messing around up here as well. There's no real kind of limit with the amount of stuff you can do with this particular phrase. It's pretty wacky. I seem to remember doing something on an album once. I think it went. Let me see. Kind of that kind of thing. Again, more barring, going across strings. That's kind of a different way of doing it as well. That sounds cool. Okay, we've done some fairly wacky sounding things. Not really too difficult with the picking hand so far. Going to finish off this little segment with a couple of extra little legato phrases that you might want to mess around with. This one. I'm going to break that down slowly. I'm just going to play it slowly for you. D, 12th fret. Pull off to the C, 10th fret. Play the A, 12th fret of the A string. Play the C and D again. The F on the G string, 10th fret. And then finish off with the D and C again on the D string. And you can take that up the D minor pentatonic scale again. That kind of idea. Let's try that again one more time. So it's exactly the same pattern, just moved across, staying within the D minor pentatonic, first position D minor pentatonic shape. You can, I don't think I've tried this yet, but you can obviously use any of the other D minor pentatonic shapes as well. That's kind of... Now again, with this little phrase, you might want to change some notes around, see what other kind of sounds you can get. Instead of... And this actually brings me to the next section, which it's kind of inspired, if you like, by a transcription I saw once. It was a really bad transcription of there was a band called T-Ride back in the 80s who did some great stuff, and there was a transcription I saw of one of their tunes once. And the transcriber had actually written out this end lick, which you listen to on the record, and it's kind of going really quickly. And he'd written it out like this. Now I could play that, I could practice that for ages, and I wouldn't get that anywhere near that sort of speed. The problem is not with the notes were perfectly correct, but actually the fingering was completely wrong, essentially. Fingering was obviously one of these. Once you get the right fingering, it's actually possible to play the lick. So if there's stuff that you can't play or you find really difficult, things like, maybe even things like this, which we did in an earlier section. Why not change that G note there? So you actually put it all on one string. That way there's no picking involved, and you can wave at your mum in the audience or whatever. You know, there's always different ways of playing stuff. Even things like, let me see, something like this, for example, which is in the beginning section, when we're going down in groups of threes. You might find that really, really awkward. It is actually quite a tough lick to do. So, again, if you simply rearranging the notes, you could end up with something like same 6 notes, but on 2 strings instead of 3. And if you're actually more used to picking 3 notes per string, then it would actually feel a lot more comfortable. even, let me see. You could even do it there. Vast array of possibilities. One of the advantages and also one of the confusing things about the guitar is that you can play the same note all over the neck. So if you are having problems with a particular phrase, it could be that you're actually not using the best particular fingering for that lick. So bear that in mind the next time you get stuck on something.